Welcome to A Girl, a Guy, a Bear, and a Movie. And I'd like to welcome our guest reviewer with us, Mr. Bear, the Gen X GM. He has a fantastic YouTube channel,
Thank
and
you.
he has an amazing set of projects he's worked on in the past, and he's working on even another amazing project, which is in the final portion of, I think, Backer Kit, correct?
Well, Heroics and Backer Kit, it's done Backer Kit now, but now we're just waiting for the art to come in and the writing to be done, and then we're going to lay it all out and get it out to everybody. My other two projects, I'm not going to be crowdfunding. I'm just going to be doing them as quiet little projects.
Okay. And you've worked in the film industry, you said, for 2 decades, correct?
Over 20 years. I started in 88.
So,
and I quit in 2010, and I went back for a little bit in 2013, 2014, and then I got out again.
what was the movie that we reviewed together? Didn't we do a review with you before?
Lost Skeleton of Cadavra.
That's right. And I don't think Janet was part of that, which was a shame.
No. I would have been interested to see what costume she would have come up with. I'm going to say Anamala.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
The Lost Skeleton of Cadavra. It's an amazing 1950s-esque movie written and filmed in like the 90s or early 2000s. Great film. Funny as hell. Very slick writing. Amazing writing. Dialogue is great.
Mm-hmm.
Joke goes a little bit long is the problem with it.
Yeah, it does.
It was like a 30-minute sketch that they turned into an hour-and-a-half movie, and unfortunately sometimes it gets a little long.
So far, the plan is when you aren't running your game on Sundays, we'll have you with us in Discord.
I'm going to try, yeah. And unless something else comes up, I'm absolutely happy to be here. I'm looking forward to when I get to recommend some movies to you guys. That's going to be fun because y'all need some good movies recommended to you.
Well, I have no problem with that. Especially if the Last Skeleton of Cadavra is any indication of the quality of film that you can recommend, I'm all for it. All for it.
I have varied tastes in film.
Understandable. I'd like to welcome our friends in the chat who are trickling in. The balcony is open, and come on in, grab your drinks and popcorn. We're going to discuss this movie called Iceman, filmed in 1984. It was a script originally attached with, I believe, Norman Jewison for years, up until the 70s. The 70s was an explosion of huge sci-fi. There was big dystopian sci-fi in the early 70s, kind of spurred on by the culture at the time and the oil market. And then in 77, this big movie came out. Maybe you've heard of it, but it changed sci-fi. And so this movie was shelved with Norman's desires. And then some director by the name of Schlepsky, I believe, he got a hold of it. And he begged and begged and begged, and I want to do it. And so they let him, but Norman Jewison was still attached to as a producer. There's some interesting parts about this film because of the personnel switch behind the scenes, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But you first saw this, Bear, when this came out, and you were at a drive-in, you said, correct?
Yeah, started the drive-in in 84. In Bonaventure, I went up with the parents, and we went. And I was in the back of the station wagon. I was just chilling out, and I sleep now. But anyway, I loved it when I was 14, and I actually cried at the end of the movie, and it really was great. I haven't seen it since 1984.
We had on Jasper Street in our little burb of Decatur, Illinois, Soy City, for those of you who don't know that. And when I say Soy City, one of the number one producers of soy in the world, Decatur, Illinois. We had a B&C television shop, which has a rental section for VHS and Beta. And they also had some small Laserdisc sales, which nobody really had Laserdisc. None of my friends did. So we got this movie the same weekend that we saw the film The Emerald Forest, which is a big teenage movie that I loved back in the day because, one, he had good boobs, and two, it had an amazing plot, and Powers Booth was just at the top of his game, I felt.
Yeah.
So then we watched this movie, and I didn't have an emotional reaction to it like everyone else, but I still felt like it was really good because you get to see everything kind of go full circle with this movie in a way that I was not expecting. I was expecting them to cut up the Iceman. The very end of the movie, he gets wheeled into the OR, and Timothy Hutton's bawling his eyes out, and they just start like removing things and like studying it. Oh, look, his liver can process this. Oh, look, his kidneys can do this. And I thought it was going to go that direction, but instead it went a really sweet route. But I did not expect it to go that way, and I loved it. So we watched this movie about 2 or 3 times. I've not seen it since 1987. Janet, first viewing.
I thought it was a very well done movie. I mean, it had a little of everything, and it had intrigue, it had espionage in a way, it had a little bit of romance. The where the Timothy Hutton was trying to get her to become a woman, basically, to show her feelings instead of just being a scientist, little things like that. But the thing is, it was nice to see a movie that it was just almost completely done with feelings. I
Yeah,
mean, okay, not just that, was they used a lot of scientific parts in it, but they also made you think of the human side of science. I don't know if that makes any sense to a lot of people, but that's exactly how I was seeing it. And I thought it was interesting the way they did it, because it made me think that what if we had a real alien that was alive on the planet, or like the children that they found in the woods. My dad showed me a documentary. There was 2 kids that were found in the jungles, and they acted like animals, and they had brought them in, and it reminded me a lot of that. And I cried a couple times in this movie when they were singing. I could tell that he was lonely, and it was just so nice for him to have somebody to interact with. And then the part that you were talking about, where he got to see the woman and made him long for companionship, that type of thing, and the humanness of it. And even though we were looking at him, not me, but the scientists were looking at him as an animal, uh, he didn't act like an animal when he realized that that was another man's woman, that type of thing. I loved it. I thought it brought out a lot of human qualities of what I wish we all had and we all shared. Even today, we tend to just dismiss everyone and anything about the humanness of a person, and if they don't believe the way we do. So I just loved it, and I cried a lot because it made me feel I long for him to be free. Just like you would if you find an animal that has a broken wing and you try to heal it and then let it go back in the wild. That type of thing. That's how I felt for the movie, but it was very well done. It had all the character arcs you needed to keep me enthralled through the whole thing. I felt the characters you didn't want to like and the characters you wanted to like a lot. So I thought it offered all those aspects.
I was very pleased with this film, and watching it now, I recognize a lot of faces that I've watched over many years. You have Danny Glover, who, when they first do the facial shot on Danny, I was like, "That ain't no way. That's Murtaugh."
Oh no,
And
no, he clearly was really too old for this shit already.
already, and then we got fucking President Strickland. James Tolkien is in this movie.
Yeah.
Not Tolkien, not the writer. James Tolkien, the Strickland. He was also in Top Gun and Masters of the Universe, which is one of my favorite bad films. I was so happy to see that, and then the start of the film, you're seeing the dot matrix printer go to work with a near letter quality, with the basics of how the movie's supposed to start off. And I just felt like, wow, we're back in the 80s again, because I haven't seen one of those since I packaged it up in the closet, and there it sits to this day, that poor near letter quality printer that was hooked up to my Commodore 64. Yeah.
Did this movie remind you at all of The Thing?
the very beginning, the first 5 or 7 minutes of it, I felt serious vibes of the thing, and
Yeah,
it
I was having like deja vu here and there. Uh, when
It was
when
a
they first
really
found
good
the
movie.
ice and the backdrop, the beautiful. I don't know why. I guess I must be one of the only people in the world that loves beautiful snowy mountains and just tons and tons of snow and the sound of them walking in it and all that. I just loved it, and to see their breath, it seemed very realistic to me, and it was just gorgeous. I thought it was beautiful, beautiful scenery.
Yeah, the
But
scenery was very beautiful.
what are you thinking there, Bear?
I can't believe I liked this movie when I was 14. It is absolutely ham-fisted. The story is insipid. The very concept of believing that a Neanderthal would share a linguistic group with Inuit it's beyond absurd. It's absolute
Yeah,
woo-woo fantasy. I would imagine Raven would love this movie a lot. It was absolute trash in its science. It was 1950s level science fiction. When
yeah.
you tell me the script's been kicking around Hollywood for 20 years, I believe it.
It was
It was
it was stuck on the floor.
100% female storytelling. It wasn't neutral at all in its storytelling. It was all about your feels. It was all they were going for the Oscar. They were trying to get an Oscar as hard as they could. Um, Neanderthals didn't look like Chinese guys. That's the other thing we need to take into consideration. They could have put a little effort into that, but they
Yeah,
didn't.
he did look Asian
And
to
well, he
me.
is Asian. The actor
Well,
is
I
Asian.
didn't know who he was.
He's a Chinese actor, and he's very good, and he does a great job, and he's a fantastic actor. I don't know why in the 80s they were really trying to make Timothy Hutton a thing. I remember that period of time where they were convinced they were going to make Timothy Hutton something. They did
Mhm.
not. And has Lindsay Cruz ever played a likable character? Has she
No,
ever played? I met her. I worked on an episode of Millennium with her, and I didn't know who she was. I just recognized her from the
That's the
Charlie Sheen
guy
movie.
that played the Iceman.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
he,
recognized him. Right,
he's
I
in the
yeah,
didn't
shadow.
recognize him in the movie.
He's in the
yeah.
shadow, which is
He's
a
He
really
amazing in
was
the shadow.
good. I thought he did a
He's
great job
so
as
good in
the
the shadow.
Iceman.
No, he's a very talented actor. But
yeah.
overall, this
Very.
film was pedestrian, by the numbers,
Mhm.
very boring, up its own ass, and obsessed with itself. So that's how I felt about it after not having seen it since I was 14. So 40 years later, seeing it again with 40 years of experience and film knowledge under my belt, I was like, I cannot believe I loved this film when I was 14.
You
Oh,
know,
I loved it. I thought it
I
was very good.
I know that I have changed my taste since I was 12, and I really actually kind of value this movie just for the fact that it's a good time capsule of what we were watching back in 84, 87.
Mhm.
What you'd see on syndicated TV, what passes for quote unquote a good movie. And yeah, you're right on that on a lot of levels, Bear, because they are really going for the emotional storytelling. And you're right. The 1960s level of science that's in this movie that was shoved into a script and didn't really pan out well in the long term. But it's interesting just for me, for nothing else. It's a time capsule. I'm not going to try to judge it on 2024's metrics at all. If and
No,
you rate however you like, I completely want you to.
Mhm.
well,
But
I'm judging it on myself as a film watcher, not on 2024's metrics, because there's plenty of garbage films coming out today too.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
either.
this was just ham-fisted. It wasn't subtle. It didn't try to be subtle.
no,
The casting, the secondary characters were tremendous. Charlie was tremendous. Your two human leads are God. Watching Timothy Hutton act is like trying. What have I seen Timothy Hutton in that I liked? I think isn't
um,
he in Beautiful Girls? Yeah, I loved him in Beautiful Girls. I thought he did a really good job because he finally grew into his face. You know what I mean? He finally became who Timothy Hutton was supposed to be. But
he,
beyond that, I hate Ordinary People. I think it's an awful
I
film.
never saw that one either.
Terrible. This is a boomer. This is boomer sci-fi.
yeah,
Okay, just happened to be done during Gen X. Hence
yeah,
that opening bit where they're like, well, think of the things you could teach us. We could prolong life. Aren't we overpopulated as it is? So think about that, kids.
serious,
40
serious
years
19.
ago, Hollywood was telling us the planet was overpopulated. 40 years ago. You
Yeah.
understand? The political messaging in this film is hard and ham-fisted and heavy, and it just was not for me, man. I'm sorry to say, you know.
Well, I agree with you on that. I felt I really didn't really like Timothy Hutton's character in this because he was so one-sided and biased. But to me, that's how most people are today. I mean, you know what I mean?
And
You
I hear
have
you.
people that either they agree that we need to do something for the environment, you know, but not. I don't believe in the climate change stuff, but I do believe that we need to fix pollution. People shouldn't throw their trash out their window, all that stuff, and putting nasty shit in our air, things like that. I do believe in all that. Okay. So I do believe in pollution. Okay. But I think that the being told in a movie, this is how you should be, period. It's my way or the highway, just like I said earlier, is bullshit. I don't like that. But to me, this movie needed that because you had to have the one character that's trying to push his agenda. But I love the balance with the other actors all being scientists about, winning the Nobel Prize and all the different things that they were talking about
Oh, of
with
course, because
their
science is
finding and
inhuman.
calling them out.
Because science is clearly inhuman, and that's what the LA intelligentsia, even in 1984, wanted you to know.
Well, I know,
Science is
but
inhuman. Science
it was a
bad.
movie about finding someone frozen in ice. So basically, the way it unfolded to me, it seemed very realistic about what would happen today if we found something in the ice and we were able to bring it back to life. And see, a person like me that has never seen it, I can see something like that being possible one day because look, we've already cloning things. Okay,
Yeah.
they're already cryogenically freezing things now and bringing them back to life. Now they haven't been in the ice for 40,000 years, but to me, in my brain, I can imagine that being possible. So to me, I thought the whole back and forth with all the different scientists and the thought that the linguist woman that they brought in becoming emotionally attached basically to something that she thought she'd never ever be involved in her whole life, and she's an older woman, so like to her this was something that that you might dream for in a certain job, that something like this could happen. So the fact, though, the one thing that I had a hard time with was how easy it was for him to just take something that's worth a billions of dollars, to these people and just walk out in the ice with them. That to me was I don't know, just kind of lame. That was one of the worst things I thought about the whole thing. The whole uh, aspect is you could just take something like that and walk out of a laboratory with it. To me, was a little far fetched.
So
But
the
I
rule
liked
is,
the story. I thought it was very good, and yeah, it did push the envelope a little bit when it came to politics. But I'm able to separate that because Hollywood is that way.
okay. So
So
the rule of reviewing a movie is review the movie you saw, not the movie you wish you saw or the movie you think they were trying to make. You have to review the movie that was put on film in front of you,
that's what
right?
I'm
Hang on,
doing.
hang on. Let me speak, Janet. Gee
Okay, go
whiz,
ahead.
I should let you have your run. Let me have mine.
Mhm.
And I'm okay with that. And that's fine. But even in your review, you're projecting a lot of stuff that wasn't shown on film onto these characters, which is your connection to the film, which is
Mhm.
fine. That's what film does to us. It makes us connect with it. It makes us live in a world of fantasy and flight. My problem is I can't believe in a room full of 15 scientists in total or whatever it was at the end of the day, only one wants to save the Iceman and the rest all want to chop him up as fast as possible. Really? You know what makes pathos work in a film? When you have multiple characters arguing a point as opposed to just one standing against the tide. But this is the message that they're sending. It's that you individual, you are the only one who can change the world. You must stand against the inhuman science. You must protect the unprotectable. And this is a seed that has grown in the garden of Hollywood to the point where now today we have entire movies based on this thought process, which is
Mhm.
garbage. They could have made a much more realistic film. They could have made a much more interesting film, but they didn't. So we have to review the film they made. And I take the film at its face value.
Mhm.
It is emotionally manipulative. It is clunky in its storytelling. It makes leaps of logic that are absolutely astounding, and any anthropologist worth their salt would have been like, nope. I guarantee you, any anthropologist they consulted on this film went, Inuit, Neanderthal, are you implying that the Inuits are Neanderthals? Like, they would have said something like, this is highly a racist statement you're making. You're implying that the Inuit people are subhuman somehow. And that kind of stuff, it just doesn't work for me. It falls apart at that point in time. And his characters, I will die for my beliefs. A little overblown. Just Timothy Hutton's character, a little bit overblown, maybe just a tiny little bit. I don't know.
Well, I agree. I thought Timothy Hutton's character was over the top with his point of view and believing that his point of view was the only point of view, and that's what I said. It connected with me with the what's going on right now with the two sides fighting over everything, that they're right and everybody else is wrong, which is to me stupid, because I'm in the middle. I can see a little here and a little there on both sides for myself. To be able to live with that. But in the movie, I honestly did not see one person just going rah, 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 keep him alive and everybody else wants him dead. I didn't see that. I saw multiple characters that could see what they potential of learning from this person alive and not
after Timothy Hutton fights them to the tooth and nail on it. That's my point.
No, I don't think. I
but at
didn't
the
see it
start,
that
they're
way.
all talking about how they're going to cut him up. They're talking about what value they can learn from this.
Yes, some of them did.
All of them did.
That's not how I saw it.
Even when they're walking to the elevator, he's like, "We can't do this," and Lindsay Cruz is like, "This is the way it's happening."
Yeah, but there was only 4 people in the elevator. It wasn't all
the main scientists that we're meeting until things change. So those 4 are establishing our scientific point of view against Timothy Hutton as the fifth, the outsider. Right, so we get our fifth column mentality. So that's already stereotyping 101 of script writing. 4 against 1. You get the hand, the band of the hand, 5, all that fun stuff. Your 5 points on the star, what have you. And then other people start changing their minds or coming around or what have you. But you had to go through this insane idea that 4 scientists are going, we're chopping them up and that's life.
Well, see, I didn't see it that way. When they were walking to the laboratory to show Timothy Hutton, once he finally got there, you could see the woman, her scientific point of view of talking about cryogenics and seeing if they come back to life and all this different stuff. And the gentleman with the glasses, he could see potential and maybe trying to see whether or not they could find out information through him of what cells stayed alive and things like that. So to me, they hadn't made up their mind, oh, we're going to chop them up. They just assumed, because of past experiences with other scientists and stuff with this type of stuff, that he wouldn't live. There's no possible way a whole being would survive. It would just be cells. So I could see their point of view. And it wasn't until he became alive and they figured out he could live. And it was thanks to the woman, her part of the scientist part was being able to put in the right chemicals and whatever to get him to come to life, using the technology that they had available to them at this scientific place that they were at laboratory. But the thing is, to me, it all seemed like they were scientists trying to think what was the best to do at that moment, not that specifically that they didn't believe that he couldn't come to life. But then once he was alive, they were all trying to figure out what the potential was and what they were going to do.
And
so
they fight.
I didn't see them all wanting to kill him and chop him up. Why would they even bring him to life then? See, I don't know. I just don't see it.
I'm going to talk to him, and they fight Timothy Hutton on doing this, and they fight Timothy Hutton on doing that. Every breakthrough that happens in the film is because Timothy Hutton is right and they're wrong.
Wow.
Every single one. I
didn't see it that way. I saw a couple people with the money and the people they had to report to saying, well, I can give you this much time to find out what we can, and then what we can we'll put in and see what they say. The same thing that you see today in corporations like with Pfizer and some of these other big things. They have to have so much stuff going this way to get the lawyers to agree and all that bullshit. That's why I'm saying, to me, it had lots of potential for the story today. Even though it was made in 1984, to me, just getting to watch it for the first time, I saw lots of connections and similarities with the way things are right now. So to me, I didn't see it all as everybody wanted him dead. I saw people just seeing the potential, what possibilities lied ahead with the science or breakthroughs or whatever. And they were just trying to find out as much as they could in the short amount of time that they felt they had before the big wigs were going to find out about it or it was going to become public. See, that type of thing. That's how I was looking at it through the whole movie. So I
I'm
wasn't
arguing
trying to
hyperbole.
add anything. You can't help it, but add the news and the technology and the things you hear about every day, and put it into something when you're seeing the scientific stuff come out. So that's how I was looking at it.
I'm just arguing hyperbole. You're arguing feelings. It's okay. We're both allowed to be on our side of the
That's
aisle.
right.
I love this movie, and I know that it's probably not a popular statement, but this is one of the movies that probably helped cement Timothy Hutton as a middle tier actor. This is a film that it's in there's three movies in the Timothy Hutton trilogy. After you see him in Ordinary People, where the fucking Hollywood elite went fucking stupid, the Academy went stupid, gave him an award, and then you had a few years later, Iceman came out, and people were like, "Oh my god, he's such a good scientist. He wants to save blah 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 blah." And then the Falcon and Snowman came out, and I've seen that I think once, and I was bored most of the way through it.
Oh my God, is that a boring film?
Yeah,
The only movie I'd ever seen with Timothy Hutton was that Turk 182. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
that's an awful film.
That's the only one, and I didn't think he was that impressive. So
Turk 182 got a 6.0. It's
Do you remember? You're old enough. Do you remember when it came out, Bruce?
Yeah, I do.
That commercial was everywhere on TV. They pumped the crap out of this film.
Yeah, and
it vanished.
It was
which
such
one?
a turd.
This one?
Turk 182.
Turk
Oh,
182.
It seemed like everybody was talking about it.
And everybody did talk about it, and a lot of it was just dismissive, like, this is what you're pumping out. This is the message you want people to see. And it was another emotional fucking film. And I think the cult of there's a political cult out there that if you ever say anything nice about unions, they get out there and they prop you up and they carry you around, kind of like what the version of IPAC is. Should you ever say anything nice about the Jewish people, the IPAC people come out and they hoist you around and they carry you and they parade you, blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the same mindset. And Turk, I think, is being carried on IMDb by the fucking union cult out there because that's such a shit movie.
Yeah, I didn't think it was very good. I didn't recommend it to anyone, and I didn't buy it. It just wasn't for me.
You could not get away from it between the hours of 3 and 8 p.m. Central Standard Time in Middle Illinois, where we didn't really have a huge union indicator. We had union work, but the city at the start of the decade, I think, had like 70 some odd factories. And by the end of the 80s, we'd gone down to like 30. So the work was drying up. Everything's getting shipped out. People want to make their stuff a little cheaper, and their voice was getting lost. That is an artifact of an earlier time. Much like the script is an artifact of an earlier time. And
look, I don't have any issue with anybody who liked the movie. You like
No.
the movie, you like the movie. Movies are subjective. They are not objective. They can never be objective. They are very much the individual with the movie. That's why some people love a movie that other people absolutely hate. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Well,
My reasons for loving the movie as a 14-year-old are very different than my reasons for disliking it as a 54-year-old, right? And that's just the way it is. I have a better understanding of storytelling now. I have a better understanding of manipulation in film, things like that. And I found this film to be overly emotional, overly manipulative, and that's just the way I feel about it.
I was not ready to hear that. I'm ready to delve further into that because that's a realistic take on it. I'm appreciating the movie for what I saw and for what memories it brought back, but for the most part, like everything they filmed in this movie, aside from Timothy Hutton's character and everything he was doing, I was pretty okay with it. I love that the time travel back to seeing how people had a handheld Donkey Kong video game that they'd sell you for 30.
Oh, I was going to say something about the other one where there were asteroids.
Yeah,
I was really shocked. I was like, those two scenes, well, the asteroid scenes to me pulled me back and made me realize, oh, this is an old movie.
Yeah, well,
that may sound stupid, but that's what it did. It took me out of the story when I saw that and made me realize that this was an older movie, not a newer one.
Now think about how when we watched this movie in 84, 87 for Bruce, that was like high tech. Oh my God.
You saw that and you're like, I want that. That's
want
in
that
the City's
Donkey
Wish
Kong.
book. I want it in my hands. And
Yeah.
by the time Easter rolls around, I will mow lawns for this. And it was so interesting to see that, because it's a great time capsule. Like I said, the very first start of the film, when you have the near letter quality printer there giving you the synopsis of the film, that's kind of neat. I don't understand. Yeah, they have the 2 pinball machines from Bailey Williams. Matahari is a really good machine. I just saw that over in Austin about maybe 6 months ago at Flippers. You have a really neat time capsule with this movie, and they show you the technology, but I don't understand the logistics of it, because all we see is kind of like this research base out in the middle of nowhere. So are they drinking and carousing? Is there like a little bar tucked in the side, like 10 forward of this research base? Or are they driving somewhere else to go do this? I mean, that looks like an actual bar, not like a government ran facility that they shutter up until like 6 p.m. or 1800. I was just kind of wondering where this was at. And I just want to know. I would love to know that. But I thought this movie had some amazing stuff in it, and the science is flawed, definitely. The character motivation for Hutton's character, flawed, definitely. Is it a stupid romp that for me is enjoyable to watch? Like, we used to think this back in the 1980s. Next week we'll be watching Sigourney Weaver, Gorillas in the Mist. Just kidding. Just
what the hell? All right. Look, I'm gonna say something nice about the movie. Okay, how about that?
Yeah,
I'm gonna say something nice about the movie.
Mhm.
It is beautiful.
Yes.
The cinematography is fantastic. The second unit director, I want to know who he is, because his shots of those ice fields and the glaciers and the ice caves, absolutely astounding visuals. The music is lovely.
Yeah.
The music is perfect for every scene. It captures you. It drags you in. It doesn't sound like everything else. It's very nice.
Here's something kind of unusual. Fred Schlepsky or Shepsky, he gets fired as they're making this film. He gets canned, and then at the very end they let him back in, and so he starts editing things a little differently. Now, in the trivia portion on IMDb, they talk a little bit about this, because they had a different score kind of set up, and Fred's there keying things in, and so music is set up and cued in at times that were off-putting from the current editors. They were not supposed to key in a lot of the score when it keys in on the finished product. That is that is a director that had been fired, kind of getting back at the people at Universal, like, how dare you fucking make me unemployed for 6 weeks, blah 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 blah, or for 6 months, whatever it was. And that was his knife in the kidney, trying to hurt them. But it actually turns out really good, like you've stated, because I was finding myself enjoying the score.
Yep.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. That shows that Shepsky, or whatever his name is actually an artist. Yeah. And therefore the art nature took over. Even when he was trying to be a petty piece of shit, he couldn't help but be good at what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And making the music go in at odd times and picking off beats and stuff like that is actually a really smart way to do something like this, because the movie is surreality. This movie is not a representation of how the situation would play out at all in a realistic way. Mm-hmm. It is not at all an indication of how anything would have gone. Therefore, by having off-tempo or off-beat music, it really, really drives that feeling home. And then as a result, it'll suck you in even more. And I mean, look, the movie will suck you in. Look at Janet. Janet's reaction is perfect. That was my reaction in 1984. It's your reaction in 1987. It's a movie that will grab you by the tits and pull you right in and make you watch it. Mm-hmm. That takes skill. This is not an accidental creation. No. This is something that was done with skill. Whether the intent was there or not, the skill was there. And casting what's his name as Charlie was a fantastic casting choice, because he is an amazing actor. And to have to, like, this isn't Daryl Hannah in Clan of the Cave Bear, okay? This is like he has nothing to work with but grunting and monosyllables. You know what I mean?
Yes.
What I am right now.
A toque.
Exactly. I mean, he does an amazing thing, and it is heartbreaking to see him have to act against people like Lindsay Cruz and Timothy Hutton. It's like, I just, as an actor, which I was, I guess I still am. Like, if you're always an actor, like you're always a Marine. I have nothing but empathy for him. I can't imagine how frustrating that must have been on set to be just acting against these pieces of plywood, you know, that are just giving you flat, boring takes, and this guy's working his ass off trying to tell a story without words. I mean, and he does. He really does tell the story well as an actor. And have you seen the Phantom, the Shadow? Sorry, the Shadow, Janet. He's amazing. That whole moment where he.
That's what I said when I saw that.
That whole conversation about where they buy their suits. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I didn't know who he was in the movie, because I hate to look up stuff. I want to see it like I'm supposed to when I just go to the movie, you know, to see it. And I was really impressed with him. He was just a dynamo in this movie. And the fact that I had feelings for him. I wanted him to find his family. I wanted him to be free. I wanted him, just like watching a puppy or something, you know, or an animal that's been trapped, and you just want to help him, put him in a cage and take him out and let him go. I mean, that's how I felt for his character. I wanted his character arc to be finding his ending or whatever it was, because we didn't know. And the part where he's in there with the both of them, and he's talking about his kids basically, and I figured that out without them even having to tell me, by the way he acted, because he was such a good actor to me. I just had empathy for him, and I started crying because I am a mother, you know, and the thought that, knowing me being just a normal person and him being a Neanderthal or whatever, knowing I knew that he was never going to see him again, and that broke my heart, and I started crying because I realized that he would never have that ever again, you know.
See, my earlier point about this film had female energy.
Well, you know, I can help.
But that works for it, right? Because it puts you in a nurturing position, in a caring position. So therefore, you have a very strong emotional content. Hence why you want Timothy Hutton as the male lead. Because can you imagine Kurt Russell as that character?
No.
Can you imagine, you know, Charles Bronson as that character? No, you needed a soft, non-threatening male to be playing that character, so that he would his.
But you know what? After thinking about what you said, I even believe that you're right, that he was the perfect choice for the part that he played, because he is to be. The way he handled himself, the way he talked and everything today, if I saw him in a office talking like that, I would immediately think he was a liberal. I mean, I'm not trying to be biased or anything,
no.
But
You're just
the way he portrayed himself, that's what I saw. And he had those point of view. But to me, it fit, because when they brought him in and they made fun of him because he was out amongst the animals, you know, and living like a caveman, basically, I thought that was kind of funny, because a lot of friends of mine that are liberals that go out and they don't think I should be able to hunt with a gun, that I should have to bow hunt and stuff like that. I mean, I know this sounds really stupid, but that's what it reminded me of, those people that think if you're going to kill an animal to eat it, a deer or whatever, that you should have to be on their level. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how I saw him from the moment they started talking about him. I portrayed him that way. So I expected him to be the one that's going to go on and on about how, you know, we're all horrible people because we want to find out more about him. Right. Yeah. But as a mom, I felt like I just wanted to take care of him. I wanted to help him, you know, like when they were cutting him up and stuff, after they started having dialogue with him, that I had a hard time with that. So I could understand what you're saying. So as watching the movie, that it was making me have feelings for him against the scientists. So I understand exactly what you're saying when you're talking about that.
You made a point that I wanted to bring up, which is a really good point. You said you knew he was talking about his children before they told us he was talking about his children, right? Or communicating about his children. He doesn't really talk, he communicates. This is the problem with the film. At the end, when he's there and he jumps and he grabs the rail and he's flying up there, they got to keep cutting back to show us all the stuff about his faith and his religion because we're too stupid to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's one of the problems I do have with the movie in a big way, is that it treats its audience as dumb. And that's why it didn't go as far as it could as a film and didn't become a classic legend, because unlike other films, you look at a lot of classic films of this genre, of this sort of high emotion, high drama, the ones where they don't spoon feed it to you and they don't explain it to you, they let you figure it out for yourself, are the ones that are always remembered as the greats, right? They didn't trust the audience. Now I'm going to bet, I'll bet my new mug from Squirrel Hermit that the producers walked in and said, do that during editing.
I guarantee it.
We're like, I don't understand what's going on. Why is he jumping? You know? And so they had to insert all of this expository stuff so they couldn't let the audience just come to their own understanding.
Yeah, and I think it would have been better if they hadn't tried to force that on us. And I say that a lot in a lot of our reviews, that the producer comes in and brings their wife or their kids or their grandchildren and say, I want them in a part. And then they have to move everything around to fit these people in. It changes everything about the dynamic that we were going for. Now we have to change it. I understand that. And they do that. And I wish they didn't. Because I'm telling you, movies would be 10 times better if they just let the director take his vision and put it on screen without having all these other people.
No, Heaven's Gate ruined that for everyone. Hate to break the news to you.
But
that's the problem. They let one director run off into the desert and spend a shit ton of money, and they're like, "What's going on?" No. That movie is singularly the reason why we have so much executive producer influence and low, line producers and stuff like that. I mean, I've worked in film like you. I literally was on a film one day. I had an entire scene where I was doing this whole reading, and I had to learn it in French and English because it was a bilingual film, and I had to do the English dialogue and the French dialogue. And I fucking learned that shit back to front. And then I get to set at 5:30 in the morning. We're out in the middle of nowhere in this furrier village recreation up in northern Quebec, and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. I got one of the stunt guys as a friend of mine, so I got someone to talk to all day, and I'm drinking coffee, and then the morning's gone, and then lunch happens, and the afternoon's going on, and I'm in costume all day, and I'm just waiting and waiting. And in my head, I'm like, I know where this is going. And then I see the producer and the director talking. And I can just hear enough of the conversation to hear the producer say to the director, well, if you want to shoot that, you're paying for it. And he walks away. And in my head, I went, well, there goes my scene. And the director sure as shit took me aside and said, okay, so we're going to just reduce you to, you're just going to walk up to him and say the museum is closed. So I went from having 2 pages of dialogue to, I'm sorry, sir, the museum is closed because of a producer. You understand? And that's the thing, right? So when we see stuff like this in movies where we go, why the fuck did they do that? 9 times in 10, it's because a producer went with his fingers, or I don't understand this. I'm going to lose money. Make me understand this. Producers are the dumbest fucking people you'll ever meet in the film industry. Okay? Like, without a doubt.
Because all they're thinking about is making money.
Exactly.
They're not thinking about what the story is supposed to be. That's a sad fact. And I said that a million times. It sucks.
And they're power mad. They're absolutely in love with the sound of their own voices. Yeah. And when they don't understand something, that is when they are more likely to insert their fingers into it because they can't understand it. Now they need to have power over it because it scares them all of a sudden. And I think that's what happened here. I think they made them put all these insert shots in that were just not necessary. The way he was acting, and yes, I'll give Timothy Hutton credit for being a flatter actor, therefore allowing him to shine. But can you imagine if there had been an actor that could work off of that and build with it? Oh my God, that would have been something special, even with a garbage script. But as a result, we get this ham-fisted. Remember? He's Thunderbird. Look at the berries. Oh my God, look, he was doing propeller blades with the leaves. Like, oh my God, we get it. Jesus Christ, stop, but there it is.
Yeah, there's many movies they do that too, and that does drive me crazy. The one thing that you're right, when you were talking about the cinematography of it and the beautiful backdrop, I couldn't help it. I could almost smell the crisp air. I mean, I know that sounds really stupid, but I'm like that. It reminded me of Wind River. The beauty of Wind River, the movie Wind River, and the way that they were able to capture the beauty in the backdrop of some horrible shit going on is amazing how they're able to do that. And they were able to do that. You're right. Second Crew did a phenomenal job on getting
I
If it
don't think
wasn't for them, honestly, if it wasn't for Second Crew, I don't even think this movie would even made what it made to make a movie. You know
I
what I
don't
mean?
think
Just for those of you who don't know how film works,
you do have a second unit director. Warren Carr was the second assistant director. Dar Robinson was the second unit director.
Dar Robinson was the second unit director. Dar Robinson was a stunt man.
Yeah, and then
Wow.
He had a good vision.
Jim Van Dyck.
He
was the
died
first-
really poorly. His death is a sad thing. So for those who don't know how film works, first unit usually does dialogue, close-ups, things like that, the important stuff. Second unit is who goes out and does the plate shots of, okay, so
Filler.
the filler, but also the important stuff, the stuff that's
Mhm.
needed, like to make it all come alive. So like when you see shots of the desert in Star Wars, that's the second unit director. That's not
Mhm.
Lucas. Lucas isn't out there
Yeah.
doing those shots. While they're filming something else, the second unit's off doing its filming over there. More and more and more now, a lot of the action is done by second unit as opposed to first unit, which is probably why Dar Robinson was there, because they're probably expecting a few more stunt, like the walking on the ice and stuff like that. I could see that. But second unit is vital and very important. What is the name of the director, the second unit director on Star Wars? I did Battlefield Earth with him. What the hell is that guy's name? I've blanked it because that was one of the worst working experiences of my life. He also did Masterminds with Patrick Stewart. What is his name? I wanted to say Simon Windsor, but no, actually Simon Windsor is a great guy who I worked with on another thing. Roger Christian. There we go. Roger Christian. Now, to give you an example of why Roger Christian is a second unit director and not a first unit director, myself and my buddy John, who's also playing one of the aliens, we're standing there waiting to do our scene, and Roger Christian walks up to us, and this is the direction he gives us for the scene. Right. So when you two come into the room, you just all right, great. And he walks away, and John and I just look at each other, and we're like, "What the fuck?" And he goes, "I don't know. What are you going to do?" So I'm going to do whatever the fuck I feel. He goes, "Me too, cool." And that's what we did. You know what I mean? Now, what's ironic is everyone who has seen that movie, who knows me, has always said, "You know, that movie's shit, but you and John were really good." It's because we constantly just ignored whatever nonsense Roger spewed at us, and we did what we were hired for. We acted. You know what I mean? We brought our skill to the plate. Directors are very important, but if they don't, George Lucas has this problem. They don't know how to work with people. They want to. There's certain directors who just want to work with cameras and visuals. They are second unit directors who have been jumped up, right? Which, like a Roger Christian, is a perfect example of that exact process. In this movie, I don't know at what point the cut happens between him getting fired and him coming back, or what goes on there. I don't know what who replaced him or anything like that. But to its credit, it doesn't feel like the film had two directors. The film feels consistent from beginning to end. Now, that could have been the editing process saving the day, because that's usually where that'll happen.
Definitely.
But something special. But that second unit, they earned every penny they got paid and deserved double, because they just absolutely established the mood for the film with these beautiful shots. They really knew how to capture winter and ice and snow. And like you said, it reminds you of The Thing. Well, that's the last time we saw that good a job done on something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the Wind River was phenomenal. I love it. Have you seen it? Oh my God, you've got to see it.
Must recommend that to you.
I'm the one that recommended us watching it, and to see that it was the best movie I've ever seen. Both the leads in ever. They were both in all the bunch of the Marvel movies, but the Marvel movies they were like eh. But in this movie, they were phenomenal. I just loved both of them. I thought
2017 Wind River. Okay.
Very good. It's a good movie. I really think you'd like it.
Problem is, Wind River is a brand of clothing in Canada. So every time I hear the word Wind River, I think of like Wind River winter wear.
I didn't know that.
Like that. Yeah. Elizabeth Olsen and Jeremy Renner. Okay. Oh, Graham Greene was in it. Oh, that's nice.
The scene though where my favorite scene really in this movie to me that showed the very best acting for the two leads was the scene where he takes her there when he takes her in there to meet Charlie. That was my favorite scene.
Charlie's carrying the scene. That's
really, yes, I believe that. But on the looks on her face when he approached, like that type of stuff, and she actually seemed fearful to me. So I thought that was the best scene for them three being together in a scene. That scene where he first sees her as a woman and he's smelling her. And you know what? He did such a good job at the way he reacted to her. It was believable to me.
No.
I believe that he really he hadn't seen a woman in a very long time, and he was like interested. When he went and got the sprinkler and brought it out to smell for her, I loved it. I just thought it was a very well done scene, and that was the best scene for those two actors, I felt, in the movie.
So let's establish a reality. Timothy Hutton and Lindsay Cruz can act. Mm-hmm. They do not get to have the careers they had by being incapable of acting. Okay, mm-hmm. Let's keep that straight. The director, I don't know how good he was with actors overall, but they are in a scene with him, with the actor who's the Chinese guy's name. I can never remember. Sorry,
John Lone.
John Lone. There was John Lone. Lone is acting his heart out and giving them something raw and real.
Yes.
Of course, the two of them are going to react to that as actors in that moment, right? And that's a good thing. But man, you don't get it in every scene he has with Timothy Hutton.
No, you're right.
So there's a trio there suddenly feeding each other. The energy is suddenly going through all three like a triad, and they're feeding one to the other, to the other, to the other, and coming back. But John Lone is carrying both of them. Like he's higher on the mountain, and he's pulling them up as actors in that sequence. And it's clear he is the best actor in this film.
I think so. I thought he was phenomenal. I mean, I didn't know who he was. Now that I know who he is, I even like him more. I mean, it sounds terrible, but I thought he was excellent. I thought he was an excellent actor in this movie. Wonderful. I liked him a lot.
For those of you that have seen this movie and you're in chat and you have an opinion about this film, I'd like you to post your review of it in the chat, your rating. And I'd like to have Janet read that aloud for us because I think that would be fine. I'm very interested in knowing what you guys thought.
Mm-hmm. If they'd seen it.
If you've seen it. If you've not seen it, if you just do a search for it, you can find ways to rent it out, or you could be like me and it's on the Internet Movie Archive. Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. It's perfect for just encapsulating where we were at mentally in the 1970s when it was written. It does a really good job with showcasing you some techniques for acting. The only complaint I really have in this movie, aside from Hutton, is at the start of the film, they're showcasing the helicopter driving or flying along, and you occasionally see the dangling ice block disappear where the special effects aren't quite matching up with the terrain that's supposed to be there. That was something I noticed on today's viewing of it. I did not notice that before because I was 12. But I really enjoyed watching this movie and knowing that Dar Robinson is part of it. And after being reminded of exactly who the fuck he was, holy shit, this movie had some serious talent in it. It's just a shame that there's some things that you don't really get to view. There was a different, not a different script, but there were some changes made. And one of the things that Bruce Smeaton's score, he wrote the score for it. It's not what was originally intended for the film. The score in this film was mainly needle drop tracks for most scenes. The score was recorded with 130-piece Hollywood Symphony Orchestra and was meant to have a fuller sound. And the reason for this was because director Fred, who was fired then brought back on the project for post-production, tampered with the film after it was locked. And he shifted around dialogue, scenes, and such. According to Smeaton, Fred Schlepsky had gone in, made 28 minor changes to the film, just as Smeaton, music editor Jim Hendrickson, and music engineer Dan Wallen, along with the Hollywood Symphony, were preparing to go into Glen sound with a 130-piece orchestra. The music was not fitting the scenes, for which they intended. Fred never showed up, never helped. Smeaton had to cancel the sessions and edit down the music from what they originally had been intended, and he admits to having regretted working with Fred Schlepsky in their subsequent film, Roxanne, starring Steve Martin, would be the last project they'd do together. Wow. Fred Schlepsky would have the late Jerry Goldsmith as composer of choice during the 1990s. That kind of fills in a little bit of the shenanigans behind the scene, which I feel isn't that consequential because I think this movie, sans Timothy fucking Hutton, is really good.
All
I
right,
don't
for
like
fun,
Lindsay Hutton. Go ahead.
for fun, who would you from the era? Who would you replace Timothy Hutton and Lindsay Cruz with?
Hmm.
Easy. William Catt and
Mm-mm.
William Catt?
William Catt.
Why not
And
just go for Marjo Gortner and get it over with?
we could, but I like William Catt. I think he's a fantastic actor. He was in another environmental film that did pretty okay at the time. And then for Lindsay Cruz's replacement, because I'm not really against her, although my favorite movie she was ever in was The Arrival because she got killed in it by a scorpion. I know that's terrible, but I think you could replace her with like a piece of wood, and you would get a better, more enjoyable performance out of it. She does emotionless bitches really well, and I just like Lindsay. God,
I've
like
literally never seen her play a likable character.
she can't. It's completely challenging for her. I really
Like,
like.
what's her name? Kai Wynn, Nurse Ratchet. What is
Yes,
that actress's name?
Louise Fletcher.
Louise Fletcher cannot play a likable person.
She's and I love her as an actress.
Great actor.
She was fucking great in Brainstorm and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. She did an amazing body of work. Sad that she passed now, but
Yeah.
she's really good. Krause just doesn't turn my ignition at all. She just like I saw her in this film and I'm like, oh god. And I think this movie rates less for her because she does not do anything to elevate from what the script is.
Yeah.
She's boring.
All right, blue sky casting. Blue sky, complete blue sky casting at this point in time, right? Like I'm literally, I budget is no issue, availability is no issue.
I would say for the guy, I would have thought James Spader would have been really good as the scientist because he has that nerdy kind of quirkiness about him. But I think he would have been 10 times better.
He would have been too young at the time, though. 84.
Well,
Courtney Thorne Smith.
well, I don't know. I just think he's a
Way
really
too
good
young
actor.
at the
Would he
time.
have been?
Oh
I mean, I
yeah,
don't
James
know how
Spader
old
would
he
have been real. I mean, look, think about this. Stargate came out in the '90s, and he's at the right age.
Oh,
in Stargate.
sorry. I just think of him.
I'm saying total blue sky for me: Richard Dreyfuss and Faye Dunaway.
Faye Dunaway would be good.
I think Dreyfuss could have really like some of those scenes
Richard
where he's
Dreyfuss,
arguing,
yes.
where he would have been arguing with passion.
Old? That's how old the movie has to be. I mean, honestly,
Well,
that's how old it is.
1984, darling. That's 40
Okay,
years
I'm
ago.
sorry. I was thinking it was earlier or later. You know,
Oh
like
no,
in
it's
the 90s.
84.
Yeah, Richard Dreyfuss would have done well. I'm really trying to think of actresses that were around back then.
I could go with Terry Garr because she's on my mind because she just passed last week.
Yeah, but no, she doesn't have Terry Garr does not. I mean, she was really good for what she did as an actress, and her stuff was good. But the level of acting you need to be able to do in something like this she just didn't have the gravitas for it. Terry Garr.
No,
she never showed those.
She was
Maybe
more
she had.
comedic, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was way more comedic, and she was always.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I
don't
know if I would
the
have
straight
took her
person
serious.
in comedy, right? Like she was the normie in the comedy. You know what I mean? She was the person that wasn't going for the laughs. She was the person that was the victim of the laughs. Usually Terry Garr. So that sort of plays that way for her.
You could put Martine Beswick in there too.
Who's that?
She was one of the secondary characters in the movie Cyclone, dedicated to Dar Robinson's memory. Martine's best role was probably in Thunderball. She played Paula. She was also.
You have an obsession with side characters and B players, sir.
What about Lee Thompson or whatever? What was her name?
In 1984, Leah Thompson, way too young.
Okay.
She's like
See, I can't help it. I don't know that many actresses, I guess, that I like that were back from 1980s in the early 80s.
Think of people who were big in the 70s. They would have been in the right age category at that point in time.
Okay.
Barbara Bach.
Barbara Bach could have done it. Absolutely, Barbara Bach.
Yeah, and she was gorgeous. I think she would have been too pretty.
That's fine.
The caveman wouldn't have been able to say no. You know what I mean? Because isn't she the one that was in the movie Caveman with Ringo Starr?
Yes.
Yeah, she's hot. Okay, she's very attractive.
She still looks good. She's like in her upper 70s. Her and Heather Thomas had a girls' night out.
And she was adorable in Caveman. I just loved that movie. That was so funny.
It's all right. We all love the movie Caveman for many reasons. Shelley Long would have played a
Yeah. Okay.
bitch
Is she old enough?
scientist.
I don't know. She's more.
She is no, because that's right around the time she does Night
She is.
Shift with Henry Winkler and
Yeah.
what's his name, Mr. Mom, Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton
But
and
yeah,
Richard
no,
Mom.
I again, she's one of those actresses that to me doesn't have the gravitas of delivery to be able to pull off something really, really like that serious, right? There's a certain skill set that you need to be able to be believable in a drama that not everybody has, not every actor has, not every actor is able to pull off. Like John Goodman is versatile. He can do comedy and he can do hard drama, right? Like that's the thing. Faye Dunaway can do drama and do comedy. And if you don't believe me, watch Little Big Man. She's absolutely amazing in that film, playing a non-Faye Dunaway style character, right? Who's the other one around that same time?
What about Linda Carter?
No, Linda Carter is a TV actress.
She was really good looking, though.
Yeah, but we want acting, not good looking.
Oh,
Clearly,
okay,
right. They
Scientist,
cast Lindsay Cruz. They weren't going for looks. You know what I'm saying? What's the other one? The other one from that time, Faye Dunaway, and then the other one, and she's like still big to this day. She was in that weird movie a couple years ago where all the elites go off to the other planet and they're all naked. What is that actress's name? Older lady. Stateswoman actress.
I'm having a hard time calling this. I'd like to know.
Yeah, her daughter was on that show, The Newsroom. She's a total Hollywood elite. She would have been right at the time. I cannot remember her damn name. And I can't think of a single film she's been in by name. Oh, hang on. Yeah. She was in Kramer versus Kramer. Wasn't she in Kramer versus Kramer? Am I thinking? Yeah, she was in Kramer versus Kramer. Meryl Streep. Jesus Christ, Meryl Streep.
Yeah, she was a good actress.
But you want to have some real fun with the part. Helen Mirren.
God, that would be
great. I like her too.
America British, and Helen Mirren could have pulled that off really well.
Yeah, I think she would have done well. She would have been. I think she would have been pretty good.
Yeah, John Candy proved absolutely so, Jay. He was a really good actor, John Candy.
There's another one. I'm trying to remember what her name is. I'm terrible with names. Adrienne Barbeau or whatever.
Adrienne Barbeau? No.
Yeah.
Is Adrienne Barbeau
young? Or is she too old?
No, she's just too. How do I put this without sounding mean?
The actress?
She's too B. She's too cheesy.
The B movie queen.
She is 100% a B movie actress.
Yeah.
I mean, she was really good in The Fog.
I don't know. I just watched a lot of TV. I really didn't see a lot of movies. But Sybil Shepherd. I mean, she was a good actress on TV.
She was about the right age, but even though she might have been a bit young because she hasn't done Moonlighting yet, and that was coming. And
I don't know. I can't. I just can't think of anybody.
Anyway, it's just a fun little thought process for me to say Blue Sky casting on that.
Yeah. The only thing I'm going to show you guys, the only thing this movie was missing to showcase that this is exactly how we recognize this movie is in the 1980s. I did not see any of these. If I could have only seen one of these in this movie, I'd be like, "That is 1984," and I would have sold it right there.
But see, honestly, I didn't really even think about it being 1984 at all until I knew it was old when I saw Asteroids. I mean, that's what it just took me totally out of the movie when I saw that. So it made me go, wow, this is an old movie. That's all I could think. Even though Timothy Hutton was in it, I really didn't pay that much attention to who he was. You know what I mean? Plus I really only saw him in one movie basically. So he never really made me go.
Have you seen Beautiful Girls?
We need to see that.
Okay, that's my first official recommendation.
The only movie I've seen him in is Turks. That's it. That's the only one. Before this one.
Too. God.
So I just hadn't seen it.
I think that movie was pre-Razzies, but it perfectly would fit within the Razzie.
That's an awful film. I would highly recommend we watch Beautiful Girls at some point. I think you'll enjoy that film, Janet. I think you'll enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, it sounds good. I'm open. I love new movies. I love indie movies. They're pretty much my favorite type.
That's kind of in the same genre as Singles and
Beautiful Girls.
Beautiful Girls. It's a good movie.
Is it about strippers?
No.
No. So it's about basically going home in your 30s.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. It's about being from a town, going to the city, and then coming home in your 30s because you're having your midlife crisis.
Oh,
It's got Timothy Hutton as the lead. It's
you
got
got
Michael
divorced.
Rappaport. It's got Natalie Portman in one of her best roles,
Oh, I
hands
like
down.
Natalie Portman.
It's got what's her name? The Mira Sorvino, Matt Dillon. It's a
Lauren
I
Hawley,
like Matt Dillon.
yes,
Lauren Hawley, Rosie O'Donnell, who actually acts really well.
yes.
It's a very, very good movie.
Michael Rappaport's in it,
Yes, he is.
and
And
Uma
he's great.
Thurman has a small role in it as well,
Mhm.
Sorry?
along with Mira Sorvino. This is like one of the '90s of '90s movies,
Yeah.
and it does a really good job of. It's a good time capsule film, in my opinion. This
Oh, I forgot to be watching for scores. I'm sorry. I just saw that Boyce Jeremy said gave it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
He's really young too. I want so is this your first time seeing this movie?
he's been bought by Hollywood. He says my rating is not legit. I was bought by Hollywood.
Oh, okay. He was kidding then. Never mind. I was
Yeah.
just noticed that. Then it
But
says,
Six
Crafting
Nations-
Gamer said, I gave this movie a 65. I think the main reason is because I was like 6 or 7 when I seen this movie. I don't think I really understood it, and I can't say I remember every detail of the movie. So, well, 6 is kind of young to see a movie like this, I think. This would be way over your head at 6.
Majority
It
of it.
was, I think this movie would be way over a lot of people's heads, even adults today, honestly.
Well, the argument where they can revivify the character from like a 40,000 year icy sleep, the science just in modern day we found out it doesn't quite work that way.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we found completely frozen fucking mammoths, and we don't have those walking around again.
Well, as far as we know, we've never been to Epstein Island.
Well, I have heard stories from Sweden. Some of my friends that are in the technology, DNA and all that stuff, and chromosomes and making clones. That they have cloned people's dogs and things like that. So I'm sure that somebody somewhere has taken cells from a mammoth or whatever and tried to grow one.
They're actually
Yeah.
planning to. There's a big news article
Mhm.
about it.
So
we've got Dolly.
it's not that far. Yeah. And I've seen lots of documentaries about cloning and stuff. So to me, it's not that far fetched. And as a kid, that liked sci-fi or anything like that, into that stuff, that would watch this back then, I could see why they would believe that you could bring something back from life, from dead, that was frozen, just from stories and your imagination and things. See, I'm able to use my imagination to watch movies today, even though I'm a grown old lady, I still think I can look at something and completely take it away from, whatever thing's going on, in movies, and watch it and try to enjoy it for the story, even if the story isn't always good. Like that one you got me to watch with the drawings and stuff, with the that I thought was just breathtakingly beautiful, but there was no story at all. I was like, what is supposed to happen in this? But I still loved the beauty of the art and the music, and I was entertained through the whole movie, but it just wasn't. There was no story for it. It didn't have any purpose. So I can't remember the name of it. What was the name of that movie again?
Which one?
Gamer had us watch.
The City of Lost Children.
Yeah. No, not that one. The other one was a cartoon, a complete cartoon movie.
The Rocka.
Not Rockabilly. It was the other one. It was like cave people, and that had that mean guy that was gonna kill everyone. He was trying to freeze everybody. Remember? It was like
Crafting, he's still in the chat.
Yeah, tell me what that movie was, because I loved it. I thought that the drawings, everything about it was beautiful. I mean, except there was just no story. It was like a waste for all these people to be in this, to work on this. The script was there just wasn't a purpose for it. There was no purpose for any characters in this movie. It was really sad, but the rest of it was great. I would hire that person to animate a movie for me. They were so talented at that.
Yeah,
But I can't remember the name of it.
It was. Are you thinking it was Fire and Ice?
Yeah, Fire and Ice.
Fire
That
and Ice
was
isn't
it.
about a story. No, it doesn't have a story. Fire and Ice absolutely has a
I
story.
couldn't figure out anything about it. It was so. It just seemed lame. I
That was
couldn't
my
find a
pick,
purpose
by the
for the
way.
characters. To me, there was just I don't know. It just didn't click.
That's fair.
But everything else was wonderful. It was beautiful. I mean, it was just gorgeous. It was a gorgeous movie to watch. And if you just had music with it, and you just had the music and the scenery, I could have just loved it just like that. It's like a music video. But the story was like, I just didn't like it. I thought it was lame. But that's what I'm saying. Just like you said, there's a movie for you or there isn't. You either like it or you don't. And that's just the way it is. That's because of our feelings or our personalities or whatever, how old we are, where we are in our life, when the movie comes out or when you do go see it, that type of thing. Or whether you like the genre or not. Because most of the time I hate comedies, romantic comedies, I absolutely hate. And I had 4 sisters dragging me to them. So it's like,
I can't imagine Janet going willingly to a rom-com. I would love. I'm going to have to get a hold of Sandy and see how much we can pay her to have that happen again.
that would be terrible. Might not survive it.
I need to be in touch with Sandy again. She's a sweetheart. Here's the Crafting Gamers review of it. It says 65. He was 6 or 7 who sees it. I don't really understood it. Can't say I remember every detail of the movie. Yeah, I mean, I just saw it just now after the first time in like 35, 40 years. It's okay. It holds up for like 1980s movie making and 1960s science, but don't expect it to be revolutionary. Don't expect it to have some new ideas because it doesn't. This is like a pre GI Joe or a Cobra Commander crafting Centaur. No, not Cobra. Destro making Serpentor.
Mhm.
Same level of science is in this movie as in that cartoon. Very enjoyable if all you want to do is just eat popcorn and watch a fun movie. Very good for that.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Janet, if you want to read Six Nations there.
I'd score it 70 out of 100. Great cinematography. John Lone nailed it. Yeah, I agree with that. There's scenes that popped more than others, but in all, this was an underrated film in the cave people's genre. Yeah, I thought it was really good. I'm really shocked that I didn't see it, but I probably didn't. Just never saw it before, just because nobody really that I was interested in talking about any of the movies told me to watch it. So I probably wouldn't even have seen it today if it hadn't been for you asking me to watch it. So
The funny thing is, if you'd asked me 5 hours ago, what do you think of the movie Iceman? I've been, oh my God, I love that movie. And then I've rewatched it. I'm like, oh my God, I don't love that movie.
I know that's how we were when we saw Cowboy Way. Both of us were like, wow, it was so good. We need to watch it again. And then I watched it and I was like, what the fuck did I like about that movie?
Yeah.
So we all have to go through that sometimes, I guess. But normally you just don't see it again,
Yeah.
So
My father refused to rewatch movies. He would refuse. I'd be like, but you didn't see everything. And he goes, I saw what I saw, and that's the memory I have. Okay, fair enough. He could never understand how I could watch a movie 4 or 5 times. He's like, I don't understand. And then when I was finally in the film industry, I turned around and went, that's why I could watch a movie 4 or 5 times. He's like, all right, you made your point. It's fun.
yeah, I am one of those people. I could go see a movie. I've seen Rock Horror Picture Show almost 100 times.
I
But
don't
I'm
want to tell you
dressed
how many
up.
times I've seen
I'm
Blade
dressed
Runner.
up and I'm dancing around and throwing shit and yelling at the screen and enjoying it every single time.
But that's not being a movie, Janet. That's being part of a festival.
Yeah, I'm part of it. But that's what I'm saying.
that's
I
not
don't
the same
care.
as sitting in a theater and staring at a film.
Wow.
The movie I've seen the most is Blade Runner. And the only reason it's the movie I've seen the most is when I worked in a video store. A friend of mine challenged me to watch one movie, the same movie, every day I work. No matter what other movies, you have to watch this movie every day once. And I was like, all right. I went through the rack and I picked Blade Runner, which was the old VHS cut, which is called the International Cut. And it has the voiceovers, and there's no fucking unicorns and all that bullshit Deckard's a replicant crap. And I love that movie. I've seen that movie a couple hundred times easily.
It's still one of my favorite films of all time. The one with the narration with no fucking unicorn or fucking Deckard's replicant bullshit. I fucking love that.
Well, you know my favorite movie. I've already told you, and I've seen it at least 50 times. And I still cry. I still cry every time I see it. The Great Raid.
Never heard of it.
Well, I'm a military brat, and when I saw it, I just loved it, and I just think it's the best movie I've ever seen. And I still feel that way, even though I've seen it that many times.
It's a 2006 or 2005 movie with James Franco, and the it's the Pacific War. We had a bunch of soldiers got captured by the Japanese, and
But it's based
details.
on a true story.
Yeah,
The only time that we went and saved 500 POWs
and the
at
the
the
very
Bataan
end of the
Death
film,
March.
I don't care what type of
And
human
it has
being you are.
interviews with all the bunches of the veterans that did survive it after they were rescued and stuff. I can't help it. I just love the way they made the movie. I thought it did all of them justice, and I thought the acting, and to me it seemed like every actor that was in that movie loved our soldiers. I mean, that's just how I see it, and I still see that when I watch it every time. So I can't help
The very end of the film, I find it hard not to watch and start crying because you see the footage from the day where they were actually liberating the soldiers from the POW camp. And you see how all these guys that were once virulent and healthy, now they're like 80, 90 pounds and staggering into the APCs and just kind of getting up. And there's a little bit of a voiceover in the background. And your heart aches whenever you see that because that's the level of absence humanity that's being returned to these soldiers' lives. And you feel for it.
But I'm glad I got you to watch a movie you'd never seen, and I thought it was great.
Uh, I've I've seen that movie before. I watched it with
You
my father.
had seen it before I recommended it?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
it's notable for the fact that my dad and I went to go see it on my day off, and that was in Springfield at one of the theaters there. And on the way home down Route 54 into Mount Pulaski, Route 54, we were being chased by a tornado, and we were home for about 3 minutes. My friend Adam called me and says, "Hey Bruce, I'm watching the weather radar. Are you in your basement?" I said, "No, I'm in the kitchen." He's like, "Get to your basement." And we knew that we were being chased by a tornado because in the rearview mirror, what daylight we had left, it was a black cloud behind us, so you can tell it was bad.
Yeah,
So it was just a situation that
yeah, the
whenever
Bataan Death
we were
March.
done with the storm, like the entire next month, when I was off work, I was with a work crew helping get post holes dug or helping get locations set for phone poles because all the phone poles around Latham, extending towards Mount Pulaski or Heman or Kinney, these little towns in the middle of nowhere, we were getting the infrastructure set back up again because that's what you had to do if you wanted to be able to use your phone or power. It just
Mhm.
sucked. But yeah, it was a good movie, and I would watch it again. It's not my favorite movie of all time, but yeah, it's a good movie. Um, Next week we will not be streaming a movie film. We might be doing a chill stream here. Bear has his game going on, I believe, correct?
Yep.
That I wish you the best of luck in many years in that campaign.
Thank you.
And I won't be here.
Yep, you're going on a trip up north.
No, I'm going on a cruise.
Oh, I thought you were going
Remember,
on.
it was a gift. It's a
I thought you
gift
were going
for
on Newfoundland.
babysitting the Beagles. So
That's right.
I'm excited about it. I've never been to St. Martin in Cocoa Beach or any of that. So I'm really excited about it.
Um,
And they told me, don't have your phone on. Make sure it's on uh, airplane mode because your phone bill might be $2,000 because
yeah,
it'll be constantly roaming or something. So I'll have it on just using the internet on the ship. But I'm excited about it.
so we will be absent on our movie reviews for a couple weeks. Bear returns in 2 weeks, and I'm going to allow him if he wants to take a pick for a movie for the 24th. That'd be fine. If
Is
not,
Janet with us?
Janet will not be with us until the 1st of December.
Sorry.
Then I'll pick a total action dude film.
That's good. I
Go
like
ahead.
action.
No, Janet won't be here. I'll pick my favorite rom com.
Yeah, there you go. I was going to say, get a romantic comedy because I don't like those.
Whatever
Very, very
one you
few.
want to pick, send it to me, and then we'll put it out. I've got a Twitter and post it on Facebook, or not on Facebook, on YouTube and a couple other locations.
Well, I want to ask Bear, have you seen Lars and the Real Girl?
Nope.
Okay. All right. He's
So
looking for.
I don't like indie film.
Yeah, it was an indie movie. I loved
I
it. I
loved
still.
indie film in the early 90s. I thought indie film was tits on toast in the early 90s.
Mhm.
And now what they call indie film is nonsense. And I
No,
watch
I
these
haven't
things when
watched
people
any new
recommend them.
ones.
I, I remember The Glow of the TV or whatever that thing was called. Everyone was raving about it. It's one of the best horror films of 2024. So I watched it. Yeah, give me Terrifier, please. And I don't like Terrifier, but I'll watch that again rather than this garbage. I'm really tired of indie film becoming. I have politics, and I want to share my politics with you. It's
Yeah,
like
the one I got him to watch wasn't politics at all.
Lars and the Real Girl, huh?
Mhm. Ryan
I
Gosling.
recommend against it.
Nah.
Because I told him, I said it's about a guy who has a basically a breakdown, and he gets a girlfriend, and she's a real doll, one of those ones you can order online, and he pushes her around in a wheelchair. So he was thinking it was going to be some kind of a comedy or whatever, but to me, it was a dark comedy, I guess you could say. But I thought it was a movie about mental health kind of thing, and it was a good one about his family and his church, and everybody's helping him through his psychosis. So I thought it was really good, and I still love it. I would still watch it again over and over with my friends. But
I
we made it through it.
I survived it. At first, like I can understand why the movie is made, and I could see from one perspective how it would work out in a healthy manner, like what the movie portrays. But uh, in the end, like part of me is thinking along lines of like what Vanessa Vaughn said, where it's like everybody getting involved in this is kind of unrealistic, and it just
Mhm.
makes me feel that everyone's got a psychosis, and they'd rather believe their psychosis than reality. And I
Mhm.
thought that's kind of
And
scary.
that's where we are right now. I feel in society, most people are
Oh,
just
okay.
like,
Whew, I was like, what's going on
no,
there?
not us. I mean, with all the shit that just went on in the last 4 years, how could somebody say that people aren't in their psychosis? You know what I mean? It's like, it's scariness. I think it's scary, but I can see it.
So I did a twofer on the picks for the last two films we watched, which were environmental sci-fi, and I really enjoyed this little time we had reviewing these.
Mhm.
Uh, as far as these movies are concerned, we will. I'm pulling up the document right now. Uh, hold on. There we go. Oh, I don't want that one. Give me.
Oh, with my score for this movie that I watched today for the first time, I'm going to give it 8.5 out of 100.
Eight and a half out of 100.
85, 85 out of
I was
100.
gonna say, man, that's meaner than me.
No,
If we're
I
doing out
liked
of
it a lot.
100, I don't like. So I'll introduce you to how I review movies. I don't give them scores. I have 3 ratings for movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, eh, eh. I give this meh.
Okay, well, that's a good way to rate. I never even thought about it. I said I think I did that earlier about his other movie I saw, and I went for him
Yeah.
for his acting.
The only movie I have planned in the nearby future is going to be a film called Day of the Jackal, and that I want to discuss that on December 8th.
I've not seen that one.
Jesus Christ, oh Jesus Christ.
It's a Richard Gere, Bruce Willis movie.
Shot in Montreal.
Yeah, I
Really?
bet there's a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
movies.
Oh yeah. There are moments in that film as a Montreal you just go, well, no. There's 25 miles between those two places. What are you talking about? how does he go through a corner and come around to that? No, but it's fun. Okay,
It's
fair.
fun. Bear will get back with us here on next week's action or rom com.
I'm gonna look for a romantic action rom com.
Okay.
There we go.
Are there
Don't
really one? Is there any?
don't do True Romance and don't do Long Kiss Goodnight. We already did those.
Long Kiss Goodnight's a great film.
I enjoyed that movie. I did
See,
not
and I
realize.
didn't look at either one of them as a rom com.
Shane Black is one of my Long Kiss Goodnight's not a rom-com.
Yeah.
It's a Shane Black film. It's a Christmas film.
Hey, that's good.
It has one of my favorite lines ever, which was when she talks about distracting virgins before penetration, and Samuel Jackson goes, "I just yell, pop, go to weasel, and sock him in the jaw." Man, you can see those coming around the corner. You have time to fix your hair. Like, Sam Jackson is the best.
Yes.
It took you long enough to get here. I would have been here sooner, but I was thinking of that turkey on rye line. He's so good in that movie.
I think that movie is actually what gave us the 20 years of Sam Jackson supremacy. As much as there's other movies he did that were really good, that's the first one I remember the critics talking about him during the reviews, and he really came out after that swinging. Because he was in other movies, other big films like True Romance at the time, even though he got blown away within the first 2.5 minutes of the opening credits.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good set of 2.5 minutes. And sadly, Gary Oldman got a hold of it.
I love that movie.
Really?
I had never seen it. So I'm glad we got to watch it.
Have you guys done Leon the Professional?
Yes. The Professional, we have.
No, Leon the Professional.
Yes, we did.
That's the director's cut.
We saw that because that's the one where he takes her out and shows her how to do the job, and then they go to a door where the director's hiding behind the door, feeding his lines, and then it turns into a shootout. But yeah, that was interesting. Mm-hmm. I actually like the theatrical version a little better than Leon Professional. Huh. I mean, it's still a good movie. They're still great, and in the context,
she's adorable. She did such a good job in that movie.
Yeah, but you know that movie is 100% Thank Heaven for Little Girls, right? Because little girls get bigger every day, and even down to the point that the hooker that shows up at the businessman's thing was
his
director's. It was his girlfriend at the time. She was 16.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The French have a much different view about these things than North Americans.
Yeah, didn't they have, they may still have it, something called Naked News? Is that in France?
They used to have that.
It was in Canada. We shot that in Toronto.
Oh, okay. I just remember seeing somebody showing me that, and they said, this is really the news.
No, it's not.
And I was like, what? And I saw the video. I was like, that can't be legal because kids could see it.
No, it wasn't the news. It was,
okay.
That was a Playboy Channel thing. Yeah.
Okay. See, I didn't know that. I believed it for years.
Someone was pulling your leg, Janet. They was pulling your leg.
Well, they pulled it good.
The French have a very different view of age gaps than North Americans.
What is that? What is that you're working on, Bruce?
Basically, it's a Demogorgon. It's one of the most vile, godlike figs.
Great. I'm going to be seeing that in the future.
Actually, I'm not painting this for a future game for either campaign.
Oh, really? Good.
This is for if I ever do run the Savage Tide, which I love that campaign path, and this is the BBEG for the Savage Tide. But if somebody comes up to me and is like, "Hey, I want $70. I got $70. Give me Demogorgon." Okay, here you go. And that's my price from my hand to yours. If I got to mail it, it's more. But this is what I'm working on, Demogorgon, right now. It's a Reaper fig. It's called the Fiendish Lasher. But everybody that knows the Demogorgon, this is Reaper's take to not get IP slammed by WotC, which I don't even know if you can IP on Demogorgon.
Oh, it's gruesome looking.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about the people that, don't play with miniatures, Bear, but
I can appreciate them, and I can appreciate a good paint job. I can appreciate a good sculpt.
I
can't do that. I can't do that kind of painting and things. I would try it, though.
Well, I can't wait for you to start working on your Enterprise.
I know. I can't wait. I'm trying to find the people I can get the lights from again for the other ship. So, because I want to hang them up. I want to have the Klingon ship, and then have the Enterprise, and then have the little shuttle, hanging between the two of them. I think it's going to be so cool in front of my big rhinestone picture I made. It's going to be pretty when I get done.
So, the nearest. Let's see. Janet's gone next week. Bear's gone next week. Chill Stream 2 weeks from now, look for me and Bear to review a rom-com, a funny rom-com.
I'll pick something good. I don't worry. I'll pick something. I'll dig in. Have you ever seen The Stupids with Tom Arnold?
No, but I like Tom Arnold.
We're gonna watch The Stupids with Tom Arnold. I literally was like, "What the fuck is this?" And my friend dragged me to it, and I went. And after, I was like, "Wow, I'm really glad I saw that."
Did you see the movie Hundreds of Beavers?
And I will not see the movie Hundreds of Beavers.
I didn't see it. That's what they watched when the last time I couldn't be on. So I was like, well, they enjoyed themselves. So that was good.
As long as they enjoyed themselves.
I really liked it.
You know who's banned from recommending movies to me forever? Weird War II. He's one of the new guys. He recommended a movie called Rocktopus. And he was going on about how great it was. So I went and I watched it. I'm like, what the fuck was this? What is wrong with you? And he said, no, it was really good. It was really amazing. I'm like, no, it wasn't. It was shit.
It sounds terrible. It does
awful.
sound terrible.
It does sound terrible.
Bruce took me to a website one day when we were looking at movies. Remember that one? I was like, holy shit balls. I can't believe people actually spent money on all those movies that you were showing me. They were bad. They all look bad, every one of them. But you said they were great.
Well, yeah, they are because they're horror films on Tubi, and there's a subgenre of bad horror films on Tubi. If you love schlock, they have everything you'll ever want.
Is Dick Shark on there?
I don't think I've seen Dick Shark advertised yet.
Shark. What? Oh my god!
It's this guy. I can't remember his name. He makes these really low budget horror exploitation films, and he gets all these like actresses to be naked in the film all the time, and it's always like some absurd concept and stuff. And
like porn.
It's not porn, but it might as well be. You know what I mean? Like, just like if it was porn, it would be more credible.
Oh, okay.
Like, it would be the kind of porn your friends are like, dude, you need to watch this porn. You know what I mean? Like, you need to see it, but nope.
So here's what I got.
Yeah, this is some of them. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I got Dark Shadows. I got Shark with Burt Reynolds. Swamp Shark with Chrissy Swanson. You know it's a bad movie with her. You got Robert Davi in that movie, so it might have some good stuff. Shark Attack 2, Shark Lake. Nobody listed on that, either of those films. Shark Bait, which looks like it's a Disney-esque Nemo-ish movie. Shark Attack 1. Shark Man, a new breed of predator. Shark Bait. Shark Shock, Shark Zone, Shark Island, Bull Shark 2, Shark Waters, Shark Season with Michael Madsen, but not on the front cover. Damn Sharks, Shark Hunter, Atomic Shark, Liz and Dick, Ozark Sharks.
Liz and Dick?
Yeah, we're looking for
a vampire?
Shark. Looks like it. True story of Hollywood icon Elizabeth Taylor's passionate and tormented love affair with stage and film star Richard Burton.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's Elizabeth Taylor. Okay.
All I can say while you're doing this is all my head is going, baby shark, shark.
Now, see, I like Queen of the Damned and The Craft. I like both of those.
We're looking for Dick Shark, Janet.
Oh,
no, it's not going to be on there. It's not going to be on Tubi, dude. I have it on. I have it as an 80.
I love Rob Roy.
So you mentioned Christy Swanson earlier?
Yeah.
My buddy worked on a film with Charlie Sheen, and he asked him what was it like shooting The Chase with Christy Swanson, and apparently Charlie Sheen's answer was, if she had a thought, it would die of loneliness.
That's hilarious.
That's terrible. Fucking amazing.
Oh yeah.
Looking forward to that. Yeah, we got Rocktopus.
Well, I'm happy to have my channel back again.
Yeah, she got blacklisted by you.
I got it the first time, and this was the first time I ever put in an appeal, and it actually won. I've never had that happen before, so I was like, yes, I can't believe it. But I'm happy.
So stop by here in 2 weeks' time. We're watching a movie called
I don't know yet.
Stupids.
Oh yeah, we're gonna watch the Stupids. Yeah, we're gonna watch the Stupids.
Stupids. Mm-hmm. And look forward to watching that with Bear. I'm interested in what opinions he might have about this movie, or what stories he might have, because his perspective is a little different than mine. I don't have 20 years in movies. He does.
It doesn't mean shit.
It actually does, because the post-production of movies I think there's a lot of fun stories that never get to the fucking DVD commentary.
Get
And
me drunk and I'll tell you some Battlefield Earth stories sometime.
oh, that sounds good. Sounds like a good one. You know, we've never watched Battlefield Earth.
And we won't.
Isn't that the one with what's his
Barry
name from
Pepper,
Greece?
isn't it?
Poor Barry. No, what a nice guy. Barry
It
is
wasn't
such
the guy from Greece.
Yeah, Travolta. Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
yeah, I heard
All
that
right.
was terrible. To not ever waste my time.
He won the Razzie for the worst film ever made, and I'm in it. So yay! I'm in the worst film ever made.
Hey, that's something.
I have a friend. I used to live with him and his wife. They were sweethearts. They never charged me a dime. I did help a lot with food, but my job there to be a roomie was every weekend from Friday night to Sunday evening, run second ed D&D, run second ed
Wow.
D&D. And that was what I did, and it was a great life. And one night, it was a Thursday, this movie was coming out one night early. I said, yeah, I'll go see it because I've read the book. The book was really interesting. It's really good. And so they wrestle up like 13 people, and I'm tired. I just go lay down, and I end up sleeping the whole time. I wake up, and Karen's in the doorway. Wife's name is Karen. And she's like, Bruce, you owe us. I'm like, what do I owe you? She's like, we wasted money. And I'm like, what? We all went and saw that movie. Nobody liked it. It is the most terrible movie ever made. My friend, who was Air National Guard, bitched the whole time that the VTOL on the Harriers was letting them sit in the air perfectly like this. So if you watch ever a VTOL Harrier in real life, it's doing this. It's very unsteady. It's having a hard time hover. And they were completely bitching the whole time in the movie. They let them screen talk the whole time. Bear, by the way, would have lost his shit in a movie theater because 13 of them.
Oh no, I'm okay with talking in a bad movie.
Which is why you love River
You don't know whether it's bad or not if you've never seen it.
Oh, you'll know real quick.
This movie
Is this
has
the
to do
movie
with
worse
All right,
than
all right,
Willy's
okay.
Wonderland?
You ever see The Relic?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm watching this movie with a buddy of mine at the time, this guy Alan, and we're watching the movie, and it was packed theater. And he and I are just obviously hating this film. So we're just constantly making snide remarks about the film, just loud enough apparently that everybody can hear us. And we get a couple of good laughs and everything's fine. And then at one point, they're walking through the tunnels under the museum, and the water's up to all their chests. But Linda Hunt is one of the characters. And she's like 4'3", you know, she's a tiny little woman. And my buddy, he turns to me and he just goes, who's carrying Linda Hunt? And I just start laughing. And behind us, I hear this girl turn to her boyfriend and go, what'd they say? I missed that one. What'd they say? So, you know, sometimes you make people's lives better by being the asshole.
I would love to go to a movie just to watch you piss people off in the movies. I would love that.
Me?
That'd be worth it to me.
I'm really well behaved unless it's a bad movie.
No, I mean a bad movie. I'd want to see
You ever see the movie Kissing Jessica Stein?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
it was this
God.
late 90s, early 2000s indie film about a girl realizing she's a lesbian. Me and my buddy went with my girlfriend at the time and her friend, and boy, they hated us for this because we just shit on the film the whole time. But there was a lesbian couple 2 rows back from us. We're the only people in the theater, and they're just getting madder and madder because the way the lead actress talks, it's like mumble rap. And like literally we're just going, what? Speak up! What the fuck did you say? Like we're just doing that at the screen, right? We can hear just getting angrier and angrier.
Yeah, I'd want to sit back and just watch the reaction of you talking through the movie. That would be really fun. I'd enjoy that.
But I mean, like, you know, if you're going to watch a movie for the purposes of reviewing and watching the movie, no offense, shut the fuck up and watch the movie.
Yeah.
You know, like that's important because you're going to miss stuff. You're going to miss soundtrack cues. You're going to miss lines. You're going to miss stuff. And you're taking people's attention away from the movie by doing that, right? Mm-hmm. But if it's a bad movie, shit all over it. Have fun.
Well, is that movie that you guys were just talking about as bad as Willy's Wonderland?
The Relic?
Yeah.
No, the Relic
no, not the Relic.
Really well.
The other one with the guy from Greece.
Oh, Battlefield Earth?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Battlefield Earth makes Willy's Wonderland look like Citizen Kane.
Well, then I definitely don't want to watch it. Because I hate Willy's Wonderland. It was
but I'm in it, Janice.
Oh, you're in it? Well, I would watch your part. You can cut your part out and mail it to me, and I'll watch it and I'll apply.
I'm not cutting my part out and mailing it. My God, you are a demanding lady. Can you cut that thing for my video, for the video where I sang? I don't even know how to do this, Janet. You know.
Oh, sorry.
I get it. You're a woman in nerd culture. You're used to men falling all over themselves to do things for
Not
you.
really.
I get it.
Not really. There's some that don't like
Teasing.
movie.
Relax. I'm teasing. Down.
No, I'm talking because they like the other side.
The other side.
Yeah, you know, not women. Those guys, they're mean to me, believe me.
In nerd culture?
Mhm.
I can't imagine seeing a gay guy get mean on Janet.
I've got a couple in my Discord, believe it or not, and they're into sci-fi and all that.
No, I meant the role playing scene that you
Oh,
sort of
no.
wandered
I'm
into by
real
accident.
friends.
No. You got to hear all the words I say, Janet, not just the ones you want.
I'm sorry. I was laughing. Probably I missed it.
Nerd culture.
Oh, nerd.
So it's this theory I have, and it's been proven time and time again that my theory is 100% right, which is in nerd culture, so YouTubing, podcasting, whatever, if you're a woman, you don't even have to try. You just have to show up. And these fucking thirsty losers are going to make a star out of you as fast as they can because they all think if they do that, you're going to give them the sex.
Oh.
So I get really exhausted with some, like I have some female friends who are like, oh, it's so hard what I do. Yeah, I wish I could put on a bustier and do what you do. I'd fucking be happy. You know?
All she has to do is just like put her hair down and turn on without makeup, and she could run, and she'd have like 100 dudes watching from Twitter. And
I agree.
Maybe on Twitter, but not on YouTube.
Well, YouTube throttles you. It's the unfair market, but I think that, like, you know, you're taking advantage of easy mode that we've made it for girls in nerd culture, but you're pretty authentic, and you understand the process, you understand the media, you understand the reasons for the storyline, you love continuity, you hate new people getting involved with the project and fucking up everything. That's great. It's just that you're in an unfair marketplace to where you're one of like 3 females I would listen to about nerd culture stuff. The fact that you're one of my friends makes it even nicer, but like there's very few female commentators in nerd culture I ever want to listen to. None of them.
Let me give it to you in a simple one name, and everyone will understand exactly what the fuck I'm talking about if they're in the nerd culture on YouTube. Ginny D.
Oh God, she doesn't know her.
I don't know who that
is. This is the girl who's been playing D&D for 4 or 5 years, and she literally gives like great, these advice videos on how to game master better. It's like, bitch, you've been game mastering for a year. Shut the fuck up. Like, what are you talking about? But she's cute, and she likes to cosplay. And the thirst trap is
well, I like to cosplay and stuff, but I do not feel like I am qualified to give anybody rules or anything about how to play. I mean,
exactly. You have a reasonable view of yourself and your abilities. That's healthy. Please don't ever lose that. But I'm just saying, if you want to get rid of your day job, there's a path that we can teach you that you'll have 1 million subscribers within a year. You'll be making money hand over fist.
I do this because I like it, and I want to keep liking it. You know what I mean? And I told Bruce that way back when we first started talking that, that I just want to be able to have fun and be myself. That's what I want. And I'm going to keep doing it because a lot of people say, how come you don't have more subscribers? I go, I don't know.
Have you ever seen Ginger Snaps?
So it's no big deal.
Janet, have you ever seen the movie Ginger Snaps?
Sugar Snaps? Sounds familiar.
Snaps. You haven't.
Ginger Snaps.
Fuck. Is this thing on? Ginger Snaps.
Sorry. Ginger Snaps. No, I haven't seen that.
Canadian horror.
Is it a movie?
It's a Canadian horror film, and I will say nothing more than that, but we will watch it, and I will see if you enjoy it.
I bet I will.
It's a cool film.
I love lots of scary movies.
You've seen it, Bruce? Ginger Snaps?
No, not yet.
Well, if this helps, the lead character's name is Ginger, so that should give you why the movie's called Ginger Snaps, and we'll leave it there.
I'm in. Okay.
Sounds good.
Is it an October film or is it an any time of the year film?
For me, it's an any time of the year film.
Okay.
But I also think horror films are any time of the year films.
I like that idea.
I think Christmas films are best in July.
Oh, thank you. Someone said, looking good, Janet. So if you saw the movie, hopefully I did her justice. because I always saw her at a parka once, and it was when she was coming in the building. But I said, I got a parka, I can wear it.
Yeah, Janet, you could never be as off-putting as Lindsay Cruz.
No,
Well, I've
she
seen her
her,
only in a few movies.
in 2012 she released a narrated. She did the audiobook for Misery by Stephen King.
Really?
Yeah, Krause did that, and I think that's probably a really good fit because I'm in Misery for the most time whenever I see her on film because she adds very little to it. Like I said, the best movie I liked with her in it was The Arrival because she died.
All right, so here you go. I show up on set for Millennium.
Uh-oh.
And I'm really excited because I'm going to get to work with Lance Henriksen, so I'm
Yeah.
fucking stoked because he's like my hero, right? And I'm sitting outside my trailer, just having a cigarette, chilling out, just right. And this blonde lady walks up to me, who I sort of recognize, but I don't know who she is. And she starts talking to me. She goes, "Are you shooting today?" I said, "Yeah, I'm here. I'm playing this." And blah, blah, blah. And she says, "Oh, cool." I said, "I'm sorry, I hate to do this, but I feel like I know you from somewhere." And she's like, "Oh, well, have you seen House of Cards?" Which was a movie. And I'm like, "Nope." And she's like, "Oh, about," and she named some other movie she's in. I'm like, "Nope." And then she named some other movie that she's famous for. And I'm like, "Nope." And then my brain clicks. I'm like, "Oh, The Arrival with Charlie Sheen." And the most plastic, fake smile I've ever seen a human being put on their face. She goes, "Oh, yes, I was in that, yes." And she's like, it's clearly she's not happy that that's the film I've recognized her from. But what are you going to do, bud?
Well, I was on a set of a movie, and it had Sylvester Stallone in it. And there was a couple people standing around, and they were wanting to get autographs of some of us. And I went over and I was talking to them, and I said, "If you want to get Sylvester Stallone's address, he owns a restaurant in Gretna, okay, Louisiana." And I said he usually goes there on Sundays, and he's got a bodyguard that walks around with a cigar all the time. He's really nice, and just go in and go in there and order a meal, and he'll come in later in the afternoon dinner, like early dinner and stuff. And they said, "Oh, thank you so much." So, and it was a TV series that I was working on. So I said, "Once you go, come back if you get a chance in a couple of weeks and let me know how it went." I said, "Take something though for him to autograph." And she's like, "What?" And I said, "Do you have any pictures or anything of him already? Because you don't want to just get on a napkin." And she said, "I have the old Playboy of him when he was in the Centerfold." So I said, "That's perfect. Take that." Okay. It was so funny because I knew he'd hate it because he absolutely hates it. He won't autograph. So it was about a month or so went by. It was longer than I'd forgotten about him, right? Basically. And I was on set walking around, and I walked over and I saw the couple. So I walked over there and I said, "Well, how was it? Did you get to go have dinner?" And they said, "Well, we went and we got thrown out." I said, "Why?" She said she pulled that magazine out, and then he just said, "Get out." That's it. And they made him leave. So she said, "Well, he's not a very nice person." I said, "Well, he was probably having a bad day."
He is like 5'3", right?
I thought it was so funny because I mean, I don't really like him. I mean, a lot of people like him, but I just don't like him. So.
Well, when you're an action star and the average Girl Scout is taller than you.
Yeah, he's short. A lot of people don't believe me when I say that either. And I go, "Yeah, he's short." So,
Even Tom Cruise.
When they were airbrushing him, I've seen him airbrush him for different things, and he is not that good looking without the airbrushing makeup and stuff. It's pretty scary. But yeah, it's sad. Some of the things that you see on set that other people don't see really take you out of movies. It takes you out of like, I don't like that person at all. I'm never going to watch their movies again. You learn too much and it ruins it for you. So I really don't watch that many movies or TV shows anymore because I just don't like people. Sorry to say that. I like
officially tell you, Lance Henriksen is the coolest motherfucker I ever worked with.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of good actors out there, and I've met some too. And
he was an amazing guy. He was such
people. Ryan Reynolds is one.
Is he nice?
And he's a wonderful person on set.
My prejudice against a certain actor in Hollywood starts off in the 90s, and I just can't stand Jack Black. Watching the movie Day of the Jackal is going to be joyous for me because I love that scene.
Allegedly, everyone hated him when he shot here. Allegedly.
I'm not surprised because he's got a bad rap among a lot of bit actors that I have talked to, a lot of behind scenes people that are in spec effects that had to work with him before. He rubs people the wrong way. his attitude to me just comes out as that from the screen or whatever project he's on. He just bores the shit out of me. And
Except for High Fidelity.
I've never seen him. I
seen
never
him.
worked in any movie with him.
You've never seen High Fidelity?
No,
No.
no, I haven't seen it.
Good movie.
But I have
Really
never been on any movie screen, set, or anything with him, with Jack Black. So I can't give any comments. I don't know.
Again, I didn't work on Day of the Jackal, or the Jackal as it was called in the end, but I can tell you that I had heard stories that people didn't like him.
What movie's that from? He was talking about.
The remote sniper scene?
Yeah.
Day of the Jackal.
Oh,
You'll see.
yeah, I haven't seen that one.
10 years ago, somebody was filming a zombie attack sequence not far from here. He's talking about northern Idaho and couldn't afford the gas. 3 days later, come find out they're looking for a fat guy for a bite scene. Crafting used to advertise himself as the fat gamer. He's not really a fat gamer. He's a normal dude. Compared to 1950s humans, yeah, him and I would be considered fat, but he's not a supremely big guy. He's kind of normal. Bear would be normal down here in San Antonio, despite what he says. Yes, dude, you would be.
You only see me from here up, brother. Trust me.
My friend, there are so many gordos down here in San Antonio. You would feel like a tiny guy. You would feel like it's a nude beach, and you'd be okay.
Brother, I'm 6'3", 400. I never feel like a tiny guy anywhere. I live in Barbie's
in Louisiana, down near New Orleans, in Metairie area. There's lots of guys that are over 6 feet. I mean, tons of them. So,
yeah,
I guess it's because of basketball and football players and stuff from down there. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, but I see lots of them. Seeing short guys is more of a, what is that guy's little? You might notice that, but there's lots of big guys.
Is that Tom Cruise? What the fuck?
No, yeah. I mean, I'm not talking about movies. I'm just talking about walking around, partiers, going to, festivals and stuff. Big guys.
That'd be great. Anyway, had a lot of fun showcasing the new part-time add-on we have with Bear, and look forward to being on some of his streams with him as well.
Add-on.
I mean, no. Well, your schedule.
I like it. Don't worry, you don't have to defend. I liked it. It was cute.
You've got a great thing going on with your other weekend where you're running a game. I much rather, whenever it comes to games, I would always rather game than talk about games. And I always, as much as I miss my friends from Biggest Geekus, I'm hoping Randy and Joe get a game in during a week or during their 7 days of a week. I hope they are able to sit down and play, because they weren't ever talking about playing. They were just talking about games and the soap opera scene and the behind the scenes of gaming. And, that gets boring after a while. I don't want to hear about what Watsy's done, how they touched you in the no spot. I want to hear about how your characters overcame the problems. And how long has your campaign been running? What's your favorite character that you've RP'd or something like that, and then get to going into running a game, because that's what you are. You're a gamer, and that's what you fucking deserve.
Fair enough.
Well, I loved our game yesterday. It was fun.
Yeah, we gotta get you in one of my games, Janet.
Well, I already told you I can't miss a game with Bruce to play your game. It has to be another day.
Saturday's locked down. I know.
I know. It has to be a Friday.
Sundays too. Like Bruce just owns your weekends now.
I know. And I look forward to it too. I don't date, so
Lombardo. What the fuck,
this is my date.
You know what? We had the opportunity to hang out together in person, and we didn't take it. She almost came down here to San Antonio. She's
I had something happen.
I got other priorities going on. I've got to take care of this. Okay, cool.
It was at the last minute.
Would have been a singularity opening if that would have happened, I think.
But it will happen.
Yeah, it will. We'll do that one of these days.
It's not that far.
Well, thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
That's fun.
My name is Bruce. Next week, we'll be doing a paint and chill stream on this channel. I think next week would be a fine time for me to do the unboxing and starting assembly and paint job of Maldrakar, the way too large fucking dragon figure that I will be using this at some point in the future for a game, and this is the paint job Reaper recommends for it. But we'll go a little bit different. Might be a little bit more traditional for those of you who like a 1984 D&D cartoon. For those of you still here, thank you for being in chat with us. Thank you, Crafting. Thank you, Six Nations. Thank you, Soy Based Jeremy. Thank you, all of you people on Twitter who are part of our show, and we will see you